Oh, all right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amaya White,
And my name is Jordan Young.
and today we'll be having our first interview with a nurse anesthetist who embodies what it means to be benevolent, radiant, organic, worthy, and noticeable, or in other words, to be brown.
DaJuan Harris is a self-motivated, goal-oriented healthcare provider. Originally from Wichita, Kansas, then transplanting to Georgia, DaJuan knew in his early ages that he wanted to work in the medical field and that it was his calling. While in high school in Georgia, he took on a health professions class that cemented his belief that he had found his calling. Upon graduating from high school, DaJuan joined his U.S. Navy and he became the Hospital Corpsman. His certification as a registered nurse anesthetist journey started over 20 years ago when he first met a CRNA at the USS Wasp while at the sea in the Navy.
Upon leaving the Navy with an honorable discharge, he immediately pursued his degree in nursing. He graduated from Southside Regional Medical Center School of Nursing with the Hospital Diploma degree in nursing. After graduation, he thought about continuing his education and becoming a CRNA, but he felt like he needed a break from school. While working on a cardiac step down, he met his mentor. His mentor, along with numerous conversations, gave him several book suggestions that sparked his mind about continuing his education and becoming an entrepreneur. After going back to school, DaJuan continues his education and he obtained his BSN and Master's in business.
After 10 years as a nurse in various positions, such as a cardiac step-down unit, medical surgical unit, corrections nurse, nurse supervisor, and nurse manager, DaJuan decided to chase his dream to become a CRNA. He attended Wofford College, now Kaiser University, in Naples, Florida. He received his Master's of Nurse Anesthesia and became a board-certified registered nurse anesthetist. In anesthesia, he found his passion. DaJuan is also a mentor, author, entrepreneur, which he calls a nursepreneur, foodie, and adventurer. He loves seeing the world and tasting great cuisines.
Before we get started, we would like to introduce ourselves in further detail. As previously mentioned, my name is Amaya White and I'm a senior at VCU. It feels so weird saying that now, but yes, I'm a senior. I am currently majoring in chemistry with a focus in biochemistry. I have decided to pursue medicine as a career due to the disparities in medicine that I have witnessed in my own childhood community. I grew up in rural Virginia where many individuals did not have adequate access to medicine and technology to further educate themselves. Beyond this, I enjoy exploring nature and spending my free time with my pet.
I'm Jordan Young, and I'm also a senior in VCU, majoring in biology. Growing up in Baltimore, health disparities and the lack of diversity in medicine were very clear to me. Outside of academics, I enjoy traveling and expanding my skills as a cosmetologist. Amaya and I created To Be Brown to provide insight to other aspiring physicians. We know how difficult it can be to be the first in our families taking on this path, and this blog is a way for us to show others that they too can do this and to inspire others just like us.
And without further ado, we would like to introduce Mr. DaJuan Harris.
Hello, everyone.
Well, hello, thank you so much. So we're going to proceed with a few questions. As mentioned, DaJuan, if you would like to further explain anything else about yourself, this is a great opportunity to do so. I know we have very thorough questions for you later, but as you all can see that DaJuan is a very equipped individual. He has thorough experience, not only in the U.S. Navy, but also in business and as a nursepreneur. I'm trying to get the word together. I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm trying. All right, so we will now proceed with a few questions that Jordan and I have collaborated on. So first, what encouraged you to pursue a career in medicine, specifically as a nurse?
Well, I think I always had I always liked nursing, and I always liked the medical field, I should say, more than nursing. I took the class when I was in high school. I knew it would be medicine. I looked at dentistry. I also looked at being an MD and several other professions. When I joined the Navy, I worked hand in hand with nurses at the Naval Hospital. And I think that pretty much sent me in my mind that I wanted to be a nurse and that I could be a nurse. So we did basically, I was a hospital corpsman in the Navy, which is the equivalent to kind of like an LPN, RN on the outside. So we put in IVs, we drew blood, we gave medication, we took care of the daily ADLs of a patient. Reading charts, checking labs, and everything that pretty much that a nurse or LPN would do on the outside. So I thought I was well equipped to get out and go to school to become an RN, and that's what I did as soon as I got discharged from the military.
Okay, well, thank you so much. With that, also, when you entered nursing school, did you have the intention to become a CRNA, or was that a little bit after you met a mentor and were directed towards the path?
But while in the Navy, when I was stationed on the USS Walsh, as you said, I met a CRNA
Mhm.
there. I didn't know what she did. It was a small ship. We had one operating room, one surgeon, and one CRNA. So I sat down and talked to her at length about what she did. And I thought it was amazing. I didn't know there was an occupation like that for nursing. Uh, Explained to me what she did, and I found it was a CRNA, and it was always in the back of my head.
Mhm.
I'll do that one day, and maybe I'll pursue that. Then once I got out and went to school, you know, it's still in the back of my head, but I thought I'd be a nurse course, get some experience, and then go from there.
Okay.
I'll a little bit longer than I should have to go, but you know how that is.
Right. But look at where you're at now. So it's not how long it takes to get there. It's that the fact that you made it there. So our next question is, could you discuss your journey to becoming a CRNA, including any obstacles that you may have overcome or that you're still overcoming now?
Sure. Yeah. My journey is always like medicine. Just watching television growing up, doctors, TV all the time, medicine. I think it's just an amazing. It's an amazing. It's very, very beneficial
Mhm.
to help people on a daily. Helping people as far as teaching and helping them with the daily ADLs and giving them medication, showing them a better way that they can live their life, or helping them out in their time of need.
Mhm.
When I went to, like I said, when I went to high school, I took a health occupations class. I kind of started it because it was a small book. I think it was 2 or 3 hours towards the evening after lunch, and it was a small book. So I thought and I always did like health, the health field. I thought I would take it. Then once I took it, the teacher was great. She was a nurse,
Mhm.
and she was a nurse. She was a nurse there, but she was a nurse that taught the class. She was very there for me when I needed her, and she answered a lot of questions. And she encouraged me also to become a nurse as soon as I graduated, become a nurse. But I went the route first to pay for have money to pay for school.
Mhm.
But then once I got out, I did that. I went ahead. But I met CRNA when I was on the USS Walsh. Like I said, I talked to her, and that kind of just put a bug in my mind for a
Mhm.
while until I had to go ahead and do it. But I also, when I graduated with a hospital diploma degree, and they don't really have anymore now. It's a
Yeah.
3-year degree. Right now, it's usually a associate's degree, 2-year degree, or a bachelor's degree, and most people are leaning towards a bachelor's degree. I don't know if any other hospital diploma degrees, but I did that, so I would have to go on and get my bachelor's degree. And after school, I just felt I was burnt out a little bit, and I needed some money. You know how things are when you're going to school. You're paying for school yourself. I don't know. I did take some so I just thought I'd take a break, work for a little while, get some experience, and then see if I want to go on and get my bachelor's.
So you
But
mentioned the hospital diploma, which, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you could have.
So you mentioned the hospital diploma, or excuse me, the hospital diploma, and I've actually never heard of that. So pretty sure a lot of our viewers haven't heard of that either. Could you explain what opportunities opened for you once you had that diploma?
It's basically it's a 3-year program, so basically be like an associate's degree, and
Mhm.
it's a hospital because it's the hospital that has the program.
Mhm.
Um, John Tyler has a program, Jay Sargent has a program. Of associate's degree, then VCU or MCV, I should say, has the
Mhm.
bachelor's degree. So
Okay.
this is made by the hospital with the criteria to become a registered nurse when you graduate. The reason that most hospitals have these is because with the shortage of nursing, usually when you work there at the hospital, you'll work there at the hospital after you graduated,
Mhm.
or the high hours after graduation.
Okay, well, thank you. Next question is, what do you believe the medical field is lacking? So throughout your entire experience here, what have you seen that could be improved upon and that you hope to improve?
Well, I think diversity for sure. It's very big. There's a big push for diversity, but we're still the numbers are lagging behind right now.
Mhm.
You know, RNAs it's only 1% out of 53,000 of CRNAs that are African American. So I think there's big disparities in that. Also, I think that there is there's a need for more caring for nurses right now because we're stretched thin. We have COVID, other things, also in staffing shortages. Also, I think a lot could be done. The disparities of staff shortages. I don't know how they could do it or what could be done for it, but there's definitely a need for more nurses out there.
Thank you.
Speaking of the need for more nurses, what impact do you think that you have as as an African-American CNA, what impact do you believe you're going to have on your field?
Well, I think that when I talk to a lot of nurses of color, no matter what color they are, they see that I'm a Black CRNA. And like I said, there's only 1% of us that are out there that are Black. So I think they see that, it could be done too. Helps a lot. When you see your people, or when you see someone that looks like you out there doing it, you get a sense of accomplishment, and the person looks at you and they say they can do it. So I ask a lot of questions, and I do a lot of mentoring online and throughout the hospital. Whenever I get a chance to talk to somebody, I try to talk to somebody about the CRNA field because it's a great field, and there needs to be more of us out there, nursing and CRNA. So I feel that I'm impactful. People see me and they ask what.
And that is so important. I think it definitely makes a difference when you see someone like you in a field that you hope to be a part of. It just makes it seem more attainable. And also, speaking of that, nursing is typically known of as a pink collar job, meaning that it's dominated by women. And so how have you been able to change this label through your job?
Well, I've never heard of a pink collar. I had to look that up and see what job it was, and I thought that was very funny. There's a pink collar job. And I looked it up and I saw there's several other jobs with that. I think it was beautician, secretary, teachers. I never thought of it as a pink job, but I know it's predominantly women. But CRNAs, I think it's like 54 to 46. There's still more women or female CRNAs than there are males. But I think once again, I've never looked at myself any different, being a Black male nurse. I think things have changed over the years and there are a lot more male nurses, but there's still a long way to go. I don't know if it'll ever change, probably not. But I think that, people see me and I'm comfortable who I am, and I enjoy being a nurse. And I think that as throughout the country, they feel the same way.
Thank you for that. And our next question, you see the little tablet on the side with your book feature on there. And so when writing your book, what did you want your readers to take away? Like, what was your goal? What was the message that you wanted to portray to your readers?
I put myself on the cover because I'm a Black male CRNA, and I think when they see the cover, they should say, that I could do that. There's only 1% of us in the field, like I said, but it's very, I think we set obstacles in front of ourselves that maybe we don't need to because we don't think that we could do that because we don't see people like ourselves around. So hopefully they see the cover, they see that I did it and that they can too. I wrote the book for multiple reasons. I just felt like my story was different from so many people, just like anybody else. But I just felt like, I was older when I went back to school. I was 38. I had 5 kids at the time. I've been a nurse for 10 years. I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree, and I just finished that up a couple of years before that. Then I was filling out the paperwork and doing everything I could to get into a school, and I found the school. So then once you get to school, it's a whole different ball game because now, okay, you made it past the hurdles to get into school. Now you're in school. It's a whole different set of hurdles. So I wrote the book to say that how I survived, and you can too, basically. And I have several chapters in here. I have the book in front of me. I went over several things like what is a CRNA, because even as a nurse, most nurses, I found out in the military. I was lucky I found in the military because I was on a ship with the CRNA. But lots of nurses don't know what a CRNA is. Right. When you're working in the operating room, you're kind of separated from everybody else. We're all wearing scrubs, whatever color they are. So we all look alike when you just get a glance. So I wanted to explain what a CRNA was. Also, I explained my decisions of going to school. I had to make a decision. I've been a nurse for 10 years, and sometimes you get comfortable being a nurse. You get comfortable making a salary, and then you have to get rid of that salary, or you lose that salary. You take a pay cut. You know, maybe you take loans, maybe you don't take loans, but you have to finance school. These are all decisions that we have to make. I mean, you may have to. Not every state has a CRNA school, so you may have to leave, go to another state. You may have to be separated from your family, or take your family with you. If you have kids in school, you have to transplant them from the school they're at to go to another school. There's a lot of factors and a lot of decisions to be made before you even figure out that you're going to go to school. You know, it was a family discussion that I had to have with my family about me going away to school. I went to school in Florida. I applied to a couple of schools. I got a couple of no's, and I got a yes down in Florida. So I picked up and went to school down in Florida myself, and I left my family home, and I came back and visited when I could, if everything was going good. If not, I stayed at school. I stayed at school and I studied. So it was a lot to be made. Also, I think a lot of nurses want to become our nurse practitioners, because I won't say it's easier, but it's easier than CRNA, because you could go to school and work full time, which is CRNA, you really can't do that. I mean, we have to study probably 60, they say the average school, you study 65 to 70 hours, you know, a week. And that's, I know you understand that as far as the medical field, want to be a doctor. And that's a lot of hours. Once you leave the clinical or you leave the school and you come home, then you have to study for like 6 or 7 hours, you know, a night. It's very time consuming. Also, so I always talk about the difference between nurse practitioner and CRNA. And I have several other chapters here. It's like, you know, the decision I made when I wanted to go to school, the application process, I should say, it can be time consuming. And when you're applying to several schools, you know, each school has different prerequisites that you have to fulfill. So you have to, it's over 110 schools out there right now. So every school is a little different from the next. So you have to come through all that, line up everything for the school that you want to apply to. And that could take time too. You may have to go back and take classes. I talked about that. I talked about the shadow process, as far as you have to shadow somebody. You should definitely, most schools make you shadow somebody at least 16 to shadow somebody to make sure you want to be a CRNA. I had, in our class, we had 2 people that made it to school. One guy made it through the first year. Another lady, she made it through the 5th semester. She said it wasn't for her. You know, this so much debt, something, you know, when you could have been, you know, you're losing money because you're not working for a year and a half to 2 years. And now you owe money for school, or you spent money for school. So that's a loss that you'll never be able to get back. And then that's the time you'll never be able to get back. So you need to shadow somebody, you know, do some research and make sure you really want to figure out that's what you want to do. I also talked about what to do once you've been accepted, you know, saving money. Maybe you need to get another job, or figure out different ways to finance school. Join the military is what I did. I joined the Army Reserves. That gave me money for school. Talked about my first test. To me, the first test are always the hardest. I always have the most trouble with the first test because I don't know what the teacher expects out of me. So I talked about my first test and how I did. Also, I discussed clinicals, transition from didactic to clinicals, real issues that most students have, studying for boards, what's it like a day in the CRNA after you graduate and you pass your board, and how I found that school. I talked about that. So I think the book is pretty thorough. It's about 24 chapters, and I try to a little bit of everything that I wish I would have known before I started school.
Thank you for that. And I guess just like a little sneak peek into your book, I know you mentioned financial aid and like, you know, financing school within the book. But if you had like some advice for viewers who are maybe interested in going out of state, or if they're a few years removed from undergraduate and they want to pursue, you know, CRNA or medical school, what advice you would have for them, being that you've been in their shoes?
Sure. I think, you know, plan ahead, you know, save your money, put your money to the side, invest it, or, you know, try to build it while you're there, you know, figure out what works for you. But definitely, didn't save as much as I should have, looking back hindsight. But I think everybody feels the same way. If you save, I know people save $100,000. You know, if you're in school and you're out of work for 28 months, you know, the money dwindles away fast when you're in school. So, and don't be afraid to take loans, because when you graduate, I mean, you have more than enough time and you'll make enough money to pay for loans. I hear some people say, well, I don't want to take loans, but with the salary at the CRNA, just as nursing, you know, or as a medical doctor, surgeon, you know, you make the money in the end, you know, no one wants to take loans, but you do what you have to do to finish school, and then you pay your loans back just like anything else. But I think some people, they're more inclined to buy a car and to pay for that, which gives no financial benefit than to go to school. I say maybe you could join the military, you could save money, maybe you could find grants. Just look around and see what you could do. I know there used to be schools, I don't know if it's any anymore, but there used to be schools that would pay you while you're in school, and they salary, so that's money to put to the side, also to pay for tuition.
I have an additional question following up. I know you emphasized that you went to school in Florida. Could you talk about the impact that was on you being an out-of-state student, and if you did move away from your family, and how you managed all of that? Because I think as future, graduating soon, future students, that's something that a lot of us will have to go through. So I think you being able to emphasize that will be very motivational to viewers and also to us.
Well, I went to a private school, so there was no out, luckily. But I know a lot of people go to a regular school. I mean, it could be double the amount. You have to pick out more loans. So look around the schools. If you get into a private school, if you get to a school in your state, then a lot better. If the school works out for you, then you have to look at the school. You have to make sure the schools are fit. Just because the tuition is low doesn't mean the school's going to fit you. Because there are several schools. I think one is in Puerto Rico, but if you finish and you go to Puerto Rico to school, I mean, you're going to be behind. Yes, you may spend less money, but it's a stress factor that comes with that. So look around and see what works for you. But definitely start saving your money as soon as you graduate, or even before you graduate if you're working a job. With me going to Florida, I had to luckily I found a roommate. We split the cost 50-50. 1 week of school, my first year was didactic, so we didn't have to go to clinicals but a couple of times. So we took turns driving. He would drive 1 week, I would drive 1 week, saving money. We are roommates, we split the cost 50-50. He had his own bathroom and room, I had my own bathroom and room. We got along fine. So instead of paying $1,400, $1,500 a month in rent, I was paying $750, $750. Same thing for bills. So if you can find a roommate, I know several other people that did that, you'll save a lot of money.
Thank you.
And grown, and then moving in with a roommate, I will say that. So you got to make sure you find somebody that matches you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, our next question for you is, when you're away from work, how do you spend your time?
Oh, I know it's COVID going on, but I do try to travel a little bit. Try to exercise. Life is busy, but I try to exercise, spend time with family. I watch TV. I'm just started back to reading a little bit. So I'm working on trying to read a book a month, even though I'm a little bit behind, but I enjoy reading. This quiet time also, but mostly spending time with my family and doing stuff around the house and being with them. So it helps me when I'm not at work.
So also, you talked about reading books. Are you thinking about writing a sequel to your book, or what else do you have in store for everyone who's been supporting you and continuing to support you?
Well, I have 2 books out now. The first one you had a picture of. I probably forgot to send you a picture of the other one. The first one was How in School. You can too.
Mm-hmm.
And 1,000 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Started Anesthesia School. Okay. And this, right, it talks more about medications and stuff like that you need to know to be ahead, basically, of the class. Give you a good give you a head start on what to expect for school and studying and stuff like that. So the first book's done pretty well. My second book, 1,000 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Started CRNA School, is doing really well. So I think I'm going to make a part 2 of that and go more in depth about what we do in the operating room, what you need to know in school, and just being a CRNA in general. So I'm slowly working towards that. But work's been so busy with COVID, and it seems like there's a shortage of CRNAs like throughout the country. So we've been short and been working a lot lately. So I haven't got a chance to start it.
Okay, great. All right, so next we have some questions that we have asked viewers on our Instagram. So this is what we call our blog subscriber Q&A. So these are questions that they have specifically for you. And so the first question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Let's see, that's a good question. So I think I would start saving for CRNA school at an earlier time and just go ahead and go. I went to the floor for a while. I worked in the cardiac step. I was a corrections nurse. I was a corrections supervisor. I was a corrections manager. And then I came back to the ICU because I had to have a year's worth of current ICU experience. I think maybe I might have went ahead and moved a little bit faster. So I would tell myself, don't worry about everybody else. Run your own race, and whatever you dream, go for it. Worry about other people, because I think a lot of times people try to point you different places. I say find mentors. Mentors are very important, and find mentors that are doing what you want to do. Like a lot of times on the floor, I see people say, "Well, you don't want to be a CRNA. You need to work the floor for a while. You need to do med surge. You need to go over here. Do 3 years of ICU experience." Or I even hear managers telling some people, "I'm not gonna write your recommendation until you work on this floor for 3 years." This ways to get around. You get a recommendation, doctor, or other nurses, or maybe assistant manager. I just think some people try to hold you back, but they've never done what you want to do. So if you want to be a baseball player, you don't talk to basketball players about being a player. You find mentors, you find the people that are out there doing what you want to do, you talk to them, and you make your own path. And you can't tell, we tell everybody our dreams and aspirations, but everybody doesn't even know that. Sometimes we have to keep some stuff for ourselves, tell your friends or your family, and, set your goals and smash them.
This is a question that I actually have. I think a lot you emphasize being from Wichita, Kansas. I'm not sure about that population, if it's rural, if it's urban, if it's suburban. Could you talk about a little bit how being from that area has impacted you, if it has?
Sure. Wichita, it's urban for Kansas, but like it's rural. So this is one of the bigger cities. It's a very popular city. There's an Air Force base there, and there's several colleges, stuff like that. But I think there's disparity also in race. One part lives on one side of town, the other part lives on the other side of town. So when you go into the hospitals, you don't really see people like yourself.
Right.
That I wanted to push myself, to chase my dreams and to do what I wanted to do. But Kansas might have set a little fire underneath me.
Well, this kind of goes with the next question. So the next question we have for you is, how do you deal with racism in the medical field? And has that ever deterred you from doing your job as a CRNA or as a nurse previously?
No, I don't ever think it deterred me. You're gonna find those people there. You really can't stop that. In school, it's a lot different from my job now. When I'm graduated, I don't have to, if I see something, I say something. I see the person, I tell the administration, I can tell the person to be at my job also. I don't have to deal with that. In school, it's a little bit different. You really can't voice yourself as much as you can when you graduate. So what I did when I was in school, I had a little issue. So I told the supervisor about the issue. I also told my school, and I told my clinical instructor. So you're in school, because you don't have the same. It's not the same when you're in school. You're kind of like under the umbrella of school, and you have to make sure you do everything right. So I let them fight my battles with school, whereas now I can do more for myself than what needs to be in a team.
Thank you.
And I'm not arguing with anybody or anything like that.
Thank you for that. Go ahead.
No, but you will meet those people.
Thank you. Well, our last question for you today is, I think this is one of the most important, because we know you're super busy. So how do you practice and maintain your self-care being in such a stressful position? Any family, any hiking? What do you like to do beyond medicine?
Last week, I was out in California doing hiking through Joshua Park. Even though the COVID numbers aren't that great, but still, I was out in the desert. We weren't around a whole lot of people. We were hiking, we were doing, we were separating. I like to hike. I have a bicycle. I have a Peloton, so I like to exercise. During COVID, because everything was going on, I didn't go to the gym, so I built a gym in my garage. So I like to go down there. And I like to spend time with my family. I'm a foodie, so I love to eat. One of my favorite things to do. And I watch television. Like I said, I'm reading now, so I'm trying to find things to do when I'm not talking about work. I'm not thinking about work, what's going on at work.
Do you have any TV show recommendations for us?
I'm a big Walking Dead fan. So
I've never seen it.
It's good, but a little shameless plug. I feel like all of the good characters are, no longer on there for various reasons. So it's one of those shows that's just going on and going on. And I'm like, okay, what's happening now?
that should be good. And it's only left on there. Michonne, I think this is our last season. Daryl and Daryl's going to be on there. They're getting a spinoff. But I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I like action shows also. But I would say Walking Dead. I watched Power. I thought Power was pretty good. Who was it? I watched the first season of Evil. That was pretty good.
Everyone's talking about Manifest. I haven't watched it, but everyone says it's really good. So maybe let us know if you watch it.
I watched a couple of episodes. To me, it moved kind of slow. So maybe I need to give it a couple. Yeah, works because sometimes shows are like that. So
Right.
Don't expect a whole lot of action to me in the first couple episodes. So I don't know. I'll watch a couple more and it'll probably pick up.
Yeah, that's like Money Heist. Money Heist was too slow, so I couldn't watch it.
I love Money Heist.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's what brought it up.
It's so good. And Luke Cage on Netflix. I haven't completed it, but it was good while I was watching.
It was good. Back a little bit for a quick second, and then it picked back up.
Mm-hmm.
But that got canceled too. So those stuff you cancel is like, do you really want to invest your time in it?
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I went to a 28-month program. I came out with my master's degree in anesthesia, but now mostly our programs, they either are or moving towards a doctor program. So plan on being in school for 36 months instead of 20 or 24.
So I guess, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's something else you have to think about.
I was going to say, since you mentioned that, what are the differences between the two programs? Like, other than the title, is there like anything additional you're able to do, like job function wise?
No. Job function wise, it's the same.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
If they're just advancing our degree.
Okay.
We'll be grandfathered in, but I won't be called Dr.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be Harris or CRNA DaJuan.
Yeah. So I guess if you were to take that leap, what would the difference be? Would you be able to go into the doctorate program because you wouldn't have to do the entire thing? Would you be able to get the doctorate degree?
I will go straight into a doctorate program. I want to say, well, I know MCV does have a program. I want to say, shortest amount of time you could do it in a year. I heard it's very time consuming to do it in a year, but I think you have up to 3 years to get your degree if that's what you want to do.
Okay. I guess it's just interesting because being that the curriculum is pretty much the same if you already completed it, like I was curious if you'd be able to just, maybe take that 1 or 2 extra classes to get the, the title without having to pretty much complete the program all over again.
You have to complete the program again. It's a lot of research and papers. It's no more clinical, so you don't have to go back to clinical. Everything's pretty much on. So that's good. I have a friend that's going to be starting pretty soon. I'm sure she'll be. But it's the new graduates. They'll all be doctors.
That's really cool. But thank you so much for spending time with us today on this lovely Wednesday evening. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, coming back home early from hiking. And so we want to formally say thank you to you and thank you so much for discussing your journey, sharing your book with us, giving some insights, scoop on your book and everything. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. If you want to be a CRNA, a doctor or whatever you want to do, set the goal and go for it. I know a lot of people, you have imposter syndrome because, just so many people out doing it and there's so much competition. There is a lot of competition through CRNA, do MD, if you want to be a surgeon or whatever your specialty you want to be, but you have to go out there and do it.
Go ahead.
In school, you have your tough days. Some days, you just feel beat, You get up, you do it again the next day. You do it again after that. And you learn. I mean, school is for learning. So if everybody knew what to do, you know, you wouldn't use school. So you have good days, your bad days, you be able to learn just next day.
And also for anyone who wants to reach out to you, what's the best platform? I know you have your Instagram, so when we post this, we'll be sure to share CRNA to CRNA. So we'll be sure to share that. And then also we'll drop the link for your Amazon book. So anyone who wants to read it and learn more about your journey to becoming a CRNA and what impact that you have on your own community. Is there any other platforms that you recommend?
Number one, without a doubt.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Once again, we wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors, and we're really appreciative that you are our first CRNA to be on To Be Brown, and we hope that we remain active and you can see what we're doing and have going on in the next few months.
Thank you. It's an honor. I greatly appreciate it. And
Thank you so much.